Hi there! Working on Ruby application implies, sooner or later, dealing with gem file, gem versions, and gem dependencies. This usually isn't a problem when we first create our project, but as time progresses and gems get maintained, working with multiple libraries becomes a hassle. Most gems out there are versioned using semantic versioning, which helps us know when they are safe to be upgraded. But that's just one part of the equation. We also need to deal with the actually deciding what to update, when, and how. Let's see what I mean by this with an example. Say we have a project that uses the money gem as specified in the gem file. If we look at the gem file log file, we can assert that the version that's currently being used in the project is 301. This doesn't mean that 301 is the newest available version though. If we run bundle update, we can see that the version for the money gem gets updated to 6.16.0, which actually is the latest one when recording this episode. This update has now been reflected in the gem file log file, along with the inclusion of some external dependencies, which won't affect the flow of this episode, but it's worth noting. This gem update is an unwanted effect. As we saw in episode 33, a change in the major version of a file signifies that there are breaking changes on that gem. This means that we might have potentially introduced bugs in our system. This is not necessarily true though. It will depend on the features that changed and the ones that are in use in our code. With that caveat, we should still be very careful when changing a major version. The best way to avoid this side effect is to add the version we desire directly on the gem file. We can do this by adding the version as the second string argument to the dependencies gem method call. By doing this, we make sure to use the exact version we told bundler to use, in our case 301. And it won't change either using bundle install or bundle update, which makes it a safer option. But there's another option that's still safe, using pessimistic versioning. This means allowing the gem to be updated using bundle update, but just up to some extent. For example, we can set our gem file to update the money gem without updating the major version, just minor and patch. We do this using the pessimistic operator and introducing just the major and minor versions. And now, if we run bundle update, it updates the version 371. If instead of just major and minor we added the patch version as well, the pessimistic operator will allow the gem to be updated without changing the minor or major versions. As we can see, if we run bundle update, the new version installed is 305, which is greater than 301, but the minor and major versions are kept in their current value. It's also worth noting that 305 is the greatest found version that has the same major and minor versions. Or saying this a different way, 305 was the greatest possible patch version. How pessimistic we are in our gem file is a decision that's up to each one of us. According to semantic versioning, allowing the minor version to change shouldn't be a problem for us, since it means that features has been added to the dependency but no breaking changes. I usually pessimize up to patch version, meaning that I'll allow the patch version to be updated by bundle update, but anything above that, I update manually. This is not absolutely necessary, but it brings me peace of mind. So far, we've been dealing with a project that has one gem dependency, a very rare occurrence if you ask me. But what happens when we have a gem file with several gems like this one? Do we have to set the pessimistic version of choice for each individual gem? This seems like a nightmare to deal with. For these kind of situations, we created the Pessimize gem. Pessimize allows us to automatically add version numbers to all the gem in our gem file using the pessimistic version operator. Let's start by installing the gem. Now that we have it in our system, we can run the Pessimize command. We can ignore the troll-up deprecation warning that's shown on the terminal. This command will pick up the version numbers from the gem file log file and add them as the second argument to the gem method of each line in the gem file using the pessimistic operator, hence its name. By default, it will pessimize up to the minor version, but this can be configured when running the command. If we pass it the -c flag, we can specify which segment to pessimize to. For example, if you want to pessimize up to the patch version, which is my preferred option, we can run pessimize-c patch. Now we have the patch version Pessimize in our gem file. One ugly side effect of using Pessimize like this is that it leaves behind some waste. Specifically 2 backup files. One for the gem file and one for the gem file log. But since we use version control, these files are not needed. We can remove them by hand after each use call to the Pessimize command. Or use pass the --no-backup flag to pessimize in order to not create them from the get-go. And now they are just not there anymore. Pessimize also respects groups and other attributes passed to the gem method. For example, if we have this gem file and we run pessimize, it will leave the group and the required attribute unaffected, so we don't need to take care of anything gem file related by hand. Very convenient. I use Pessimize in every project I work on. In fact, Pessimize is on the list of the 3 or 4 gems I install right away when setting up a new Ruby environment. Since I use it so much and I always use it the same way, I've created 2 aliases for updating gems. The first one uses bundle install and the second bundle update. In both cases, I run pessimize-c patch --no-backup right after installing or updating gems. I run these aliases all the time. They are engraved in my mind. Semantic versioning is a great tool for managing dependencies in our projects. In these episodes, we learned how to take advantage of semantic versioning and to use the Pessimize gem to completely automate the process, making our future lives easier and happier. I invite you to try out Pessimize in your next, or even better, your current project, and let me know in the comments if you liked using it. I want to especially thank my recent sponsors, Akilas Yemane, Bill Tien, Benjamin Klotz, for supporting this project. I really appreciate it. And remember, if you want to support my work even without money involved, the best you can do is to like, share, and comment on my episodes and discussions threads. Help me add value to the open source community. As usual, here you can find 2 of my previous videos. Thank you all for supporting my channel. You are awesome and have a nice rest of your day.